That's it for the Chicago Bears trade deadline. 3 major trades for the Chicago Bears that help improve the future tremendously. Welcome to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody, joined alongside my good friend and co-host Tony Cepeda. 3 trades for the Chicago Bears at the Bears deadline, at the NFL trade deadline. Ryan Poles had a plan. He made it happen. And honestly, in both of our opinions, the Bears got better out of it, especially for the future. So Tony, instant reaction before we go into the 3 trades that Ryan Poles pulled off for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, if you saw my the little thing I threw after my Twitter handle for my name, I want Ryan Poles to be our forever king, our president, whatever it may be. I may vote for him in the next election. Like I just might write him in. I love it. Like you said, we got better now, with the trade we'll talk about, and we also, I think, got substantially better for the future.
Absolutely. So let's go into the 3 trades today quickly for you guys, just to wrap it all up here. Tony and I have our notifications on. If something happens during this recording, well, then we'll have it in here for you. So the first trade that we're going to talk about today for the Chicago Bears was the first one that they did last week before the Cowboys game, was trading defensive end Robert Quinn to Philadelphia for 2023 4th round pick. The trade itself, the Bears, Robert Quinn had 2 years left on his current 5-year contract with the Chicago Bears. Chicago chews up the rest of the cap this year, but the Eagles have to chew up the rest next year if they release him or do anything like that. Bears are like, not my problem. Overall, it just works out. Robert Quinn was not doing much in Alan Williams' current defense. It's not a blitz-friendly defense like Robert Quinn was used to with Sean Desai, who he got 18 and a half sacks out of. Bears single-season record. I'm going to go with a trade grade of a B-. I think Ryan Poles, if he had this idea in his head before the season even started, should have traded him right after last season so his value was even higher. I think he was worth a 3rd, especially after last season. But Bears still got a 4th out of it, and they have a lot more cap for next year. Tony, what'd you give this grade?
Well, I gave it an A-, but actually your reasoning makes a lot of sense. I'm going to change mine to now a B+. That is a good point. I do agree that, yeah, if you're gonna move them at the highest point. But overall, the reason I give it such a high grade, and you obviously we both hit on this, it's a move for the future. A 4th. If he had been making this trade right now, we're recording it like 250. I think he might have gotten a little more. But I think a 4th is good, especially, again, it's the cap. That's the thing. You don't have to pay him for when we're not going to be ready yet. And you can make so many moves with the amount of money that we were going to have to pay him. So I love it overall.
A lot of people were upset too with how, like, they're like, oh, you only got a 4th. You could have gotten more for him. But like, people don't realize you got rid of all the cap.
And he's an older player. Like, it does make sense. Player. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Robert Quinn, great. Thank you for the great years in Chicago. I know the Philadelphia fans are super pumped about it. We got like 50 new Philadelphia Eagles subscribers, and they're constantly in our live streams. So if you guys are listening, thanks for listening. As always, we love hanging out with you guys, and we can't wait to be talking to you guys. We're gonna have a couple live streams a week that the Eagles play the Bears in a couple weeks here. So let's go to trade number 2, Roquan Smith to the Baltimore Ravens for a 2023 2nd and 5th. That 2023 2nd is no longer with the Chicago Bears. We'll go into that in a little bit, but they got rid of Roquan Smith, 25 years old, the leading tackler in the NFL. A lot of people were shocked by this move, unfortunately, but they did get a linebacker out of it. Linebacker A.J. Klein, 31 years old, from Appleton, Wisconsin, from Iowa State, 5th round pick by the Panthers. Was a captain during his time in New Orleans. Not a bad player. Started 81 total games, 454 total tackles, 15 and a half sacks, 8 forced fumbles, 4 interceptions, 1 touchdown, and has been in the playoffs the last 4 years. The next move makes everything really confusing for the Bears, but this overall, outside linebacker is always a replaceable position. I know Tony can definitely get into that, but Tony, what would you grade the trade for Roquan Smith for a 2nd and 5th from Baltimore?
So obviously we've had a little time to digest it, see all the tweets, see everyone talk about it. This might be a little high, but in my mind, an A or an A- I think is fair. And the reason being, so you get a 2nd and a 4th, which honestly, as we've seen some of these trades go today, that's a pretty good deal for a player. Yeah. He's on an expiring deal. Obviously, he's a stud. I get all the arguments about his talent, but he was not happy here. He was pretty clear about that. He was going to
especially after the Quinn trade.
Yeah, he was going to want max or nothing. He's an off-ball linebacker, which is a very replaceable position compared to what the rest of our needs as a total team are. I think I mentioned it on our other broadcast. I would not be surprised if in 3 years we're in the Eagles or the Ravens position here where we're trading for a guy like this. Maybe Roquan Smith back, who knows? But
he'll be 28. So you never
now
know.
the Ravens have to deal with, is he going to resign? How much is he going to want? Blah, blah, blah. They got a Lamar thing. So I'm okay with just taking the picks and getting rid of a potential headache. Yes, it may end up being bad in the future, but I think right now it was the right move. And I think, again, we got better for the future.
And also, if you think about it, we could just say, not our problem. If anything happens to Roquan Smith moving forward, not our problem. Yeah. So, he go on to max money. I'm going to give this trade a B. You could have built around Roquan Smith. Brian Urlacher even said it this morning before the recording, is that he's like, I didn't understand the trade. Roquan Smith is a generational type talent, and I've been saying that too. But at the same time, if you're able to get talent for it, a very replaceable position, kind of like the running back, I think that the Bears made the overall right move. And also, like you said, Tony, he didn't want to be here. So you're giving him an A. I'm giving it a B. But let's go into topic number 3, the big one from today. Ryan Poles making me sprint home in order to do a live stream with you guys. Thank you for everyone that tuned in earlier. And welcome back to this episode. Thank you again. And thank you for all those who hit the subscribe button. We got a ton of them. So if you can do that, please hit it again. We love it. Thank you guys. But let's go into the third trade of Ryan Poles at the deadline. His last trade, Chicago Bears land wide receiver Chase Claypool for the Baltimore 2023 second, or the Chicago Bears 2023 second round pick. So the Bears gave up their second round pick. They kept Baltimore's. So excuse me if I misspoke earlier, but the Bears did get rid of theirs, which is a lower second round pick, unfortunately. 6'4", 24 years old, 238 pound wide receiver, big bodied wide receiver, a 50-50 ball kind of guy, like Tony said earlier. And he's currently on his rookie contract still that goes through 2024. He's only owed $1.5 million next year. Ryan Poles loves to be cheap and get, the Bears, I think we're going to use that pick anyway to get a wide receiver. So if he balls out, Ryan Poles can extend him after the season. Again, Bears have over $125 million in cap next year. Tony, I mean, we were excited. Everyone seems to be excited about the trade. A true potential wide receiver one. And Justin Fields has a new guy that he can go to, that he can rely on. What would you grade the trade?
Yeah, I'm a little lower on this one just because I do think it is a slight overpay having it be our pick and not that Ravens pick.
Yes.
So I gave it a B+. However, if Josina, I don't know how to pronounce her name exactly, Anderson, famous blue check mark, you probably know who she is. She claimed that the Packers were basically more or less a done deal to get Chase Claypool until the Bears swooped in. And if that is the case, I don't care. I don't care if Claypool ends up being a bust. At the moment, I would give that an A infinity plus.
We
if that is
he's a
the
bust.
case.
We want him to perform. But
yes, I want him to perform.
It's a little less
but
hurtful.
At the very least, we screwed the Packers over. It's like Lovie Smith. I love anything that'll screw the Packers over. Like Lovie Smith coming in years ago. I came here to beat the Packers. I love it. Just again, it's exciting. I'm just happy. I'm happy that we're doing fun things, I guess.
We're doing fun things, and we're giving Justin Fields weapons. I'm going to go with the same grade. I'm going to give this a B+. In my opinion, both teams win. Pittsburgh obviously is struggling right now with their quarterback situation. It's the first time Pittsburgh has not been first in the division in a very long time for an extended period amount of time. And, okay, never mind. The Colts traded N'Keal Hines to the Buffalo Bills. Wow, I was going to
N'Keal Hines. We were saying the Bills were going to get a running back. I thought it'd be Montgomery, maybe. Yeah.
No, not Montgomery. But the Bears also can start building chemistry between Fields and Claypool right now. Like that's the big key here. And he's cheap. He's so cheap. $1.5 million next year for a guy that could ball. He's going to want to play for that contract, and I think that he can do it. So I'm going to give it a B+. I think Ryan Poles overall did a B+ job at the deadline. He did a great job acquiring picks and building for the future.
Yeah, I think a B+ is fair. I know I gave very high grades, so that probably doesn't add up. But I think B+ is good. Again, maybe slight overpays, maybe could have moved Quinn earlier, but overall, very good, very happy. Yeah, especially Claypool being a 50-50 ball guy. Like, that's just something we need. I mentioned on the live stream, Dante Pettis being a 1090 guy at best when the ball's in the air. I think, at the very least, build some chemistry with Fields. Overall, I'm very happy to be a Bears fan right now.
Absolutely. Bears make big moves for the future. Bears make big moves at the deadline. Checking my phone one more time. It doesn't look like the Bears are doing anything else here. But with that, thank you very much for joining this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. All the support we've gotten lately, we greatly appreciate. Stay tuned for our pregame preview this upcoming Friday with the Bears. They're taking on the Dolphins at Soldier Field. Going to be an interesting one.
Who just got Bradley Chubb too.
Who just got Bradley Chubb. So that just makes it hard for the Bears. But with that, yeah. They knew they were coming to Chicago. They had to get some talent. So with that, thank you very much for joining this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Rohde, joining us, Tony Spita, and we'll see you guys next time.